They argued over lunch, but it wasn't about lunch. The first thing I noticed was her face, tight, angry, like she was holding back words that were ready to explode. He, on the other hand, sat stiff, arms crossed, staring at his plate like it had personally offended him. I was just a waiter. I wasn't supposed to notice things like this. But when two people argue in whispers that sound like shouts, you can't help but listen. It was a quiet afternoon at the restaurant. Only a few tables were filled. They sat by the window, sunlight making the tension between them even clearer. The food had just arrived, but neither of them touched it. "Is this really a big deal?" he asked, his voice low but sharp. She scoffed. "You don't think it's a big deal. You just sat there and let your mother insult me." Ah, so that was it. He sighed, rubbing his temple like this was exhausting. "She wasn't insulting you. She was just..." "She said my cooking tastes interesting in front of everyone, then laughed. You laughed too." I saw his jaw clench. "So I'm not allowed to laugh now?" She leaned forward. "Not when it's at me." I walked past them slowly, pretending to check on another table. He picked up his fork, then put it back down. She still hadn't touched her food. "You always do this," he muttered. "Do what?" "Make a small thing huge. Why do you always assume the worst about me?" Her eyes flashed. "Why do you never say sorry?" Silence. He looked at her then, really looked at her, like he was just now realizing she was actually hurt. Like he was realizing this wasn't just about his mother's joke. She pushed her plate away and grabbed her purse. "You know what? Forget it." She stood up. He grabbed her hand. "Wait," he said. She froze. He exhaled and his grip softened. Then, finally, he said it. "I'm sorry." I saw her shoulders drop just a little. "For laughing," he continued, "for not standing up for you. I didn't think it mattered that much, but clearly it did, and I should have noticed." She sat back down slowly. A few seconds passed, then she sighed. "I just wanted you to have my back." "I know." They sat there, staring at each other. Then, for the first time since the food arrived, she picked up her fork. He did too. By the time I came to check on them, they were eating, talking, laughing, together this time. I smiled to myself as I walked away. It's funny how sometimes the smallest words, "I'm sorry," are the hardest to say. But when you do, they fix things that nothing else can.